Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedrunning video, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. So in today's video, I'm going to be building in the world of Willow Creek, which is of course one of the base game worlds, and I'm going to be building a big suburban family home. So this house ends up having 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, and it's built on a 30 by 20 lot. To be honest, if you wanted to, you could very easily make this house into maybe even a 5 or a 6 bedroom house, depending on what kind of family you envision living here. Because basically on the inside, I decorated one of the bedrooms to be for a set of parents, one for a toddler, and then there is 2 separate teenagers' rooms. But then on the downstairs level, there was this quite big room, and I was debating making it into, you know, like a guest bedroom, or maybe it's like a grandparent's bedroom. But for the family that I envisioned living in this house, they didn't live like with their parents or like with the grandparents, and so I decided, do you know what, I'm going to make it into basically an activity room. But then there is also a garage in this house as well, which I decided to turn into a garage on the inside. So what I'm trying to say is this house has plenty of space if you've got a really big family. But this week, I just fancy building a suburban family home. I must admit, whenever I do builds like this in this kind of like classic suburban style, it is very much my comfort blanket. I feel so comfy. This sounds so silly, but I feel so comfortable when I build in this kind of style, because it's one of my favourite things, funnily enough, to build in this game, you know, just like a classic suburban family home. And I feel like I haven't done that in a while, and so yeah, this week I thought, you know what, I'm gonna build something in the world of Willow Creek for my save file, because this house will be in my save. And yeah, I hope you guys like it. But getting on and talking a little bit more about the house itself. So you can see that I've pretty much already built the main structure of the house. I'm already coming in and doing the floor plan, which this floor plan, I am so happy with the way it just panned out, because basically your Sims are walking through the front door and they've got the staircase right smack bang in front of them, and then if you go through the archway, you've got the kitchen. But then the way that I did the dining room, there's kind of like an archway which goes from the hallway, but then it also goes into the kitchen. It just flows really nicely, and I feel like for gameplay, it's probably a really easy way to like navigate your way around the house, because in terms of like the kitchen, the dining room space, the lounge space, they're all kind of like on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side, that's where we have the garage. We have like a little bit of like the washing utility room in the garage. We also have a bathroom, and then that's where we have that activity space that I was talking about, as well as a little home office. And then on the upstairs there ends up being another 3 bathrooms, and then of course the bedrooms as well. Now normally, and you'll know this if you watch me like frequently, but normally whenever it comes around to me doing my speed builds, I only ever show the furnishing for 1 bathroom, just because say if I'm building something and it's got like 4 or 5 bathrooms, I pretty much try and decorate bathrooms to be quite similar, in the sense of I like to use the same wallpaper and the same floor tiles in all the bathrooms. Maybe sometimes I'll like do an odd bathroom downstairs, because I feel like that's quite realistic. I mean, sometimes if you get your bathroom done, you might not get every single bathroom done, but for the majority, normally I only ever show the furnishing of 1 bathroom. But for this house, I decided to show the furnishing for 2, because the way that I decorated the bathrooms, I tried to show, it sounds so silly, I tried to show personality, because like I said, this house is built for a set of parents, a toddler, and then 2 teenagers. I show the teenagers' bathroom because both of the teens share, and then I also show the toddler's bathroom. Now, the bathroom for the toddler is probably the most playful bathroom I think I've ever decorated, because, you know, recently we got the bathroom Clutter Kit. It was like the most recent DLC for the game. Well, basically in the Clutter Kit, of course, we've got like soap dispensers and like a toothbrush holder and, you know, all them kind of bits and bobs. But we also got some really playful wall decals. So there's some that have like whales on, there's some that has coral, and I think there might be a few with fishes. Basically, these wall decals inspired that bathroom, and I basically took them and tried to make the most playful, just fun room for a kid to have a bath in. And so I placed down loads of like rubber duckies onto the counter, loads of different like bath toys. I think I even merged in like a few different bath toys onto the actual shower itself to make it look like the toddler has been playing with them and just like left them on the side. So 1 bathroom, super playful, quite youngly decorated. Youngly is not a word, but it's decorated for like a younger sim. But then we also have the bathroom for the teenagers, which that bathroom was so much fun to do, because for the teenagers that I imagine to live in this house, they're basically the complete polar opposites of one another. Like, for example, one teenager is what I imagine to be a bit of a class clown, a bit naughty. Room's an absolute tip, like an absolute dump in there. That room, I'm not joking, took me 45 minutes in real time, because I spent so much time going for like the debug menu, the live edit menu, finding like air horns and pizza boxes and, you know, like old cans that I imagine that they probably haven't put in the bin. And just one room is very messy, and that teenager is very rebellious. And then there is also another teenager, and completely polar opposite, that teenager is very organised, very prim and proper, you know, probably has like a planner and plans out every single second of their day. But when it came around to decorating their bathroom, I basically tried to show that. So when I did their bathroom counter, one teenager's got one counterpiece and the other teenager got another counterpiece, and there's kind of like a sink in the middle. On the left hand side, it ends up being so messy. We've got like old bits of toothpaste that hasn't put in the bin, because with the bathroom clutter kit, we got a version of the toothpaste that looks like it's been used, but no one's just put it in the bin yet, and it's just kind of like rolled up on the side. So I placed that down into there, and like toilet roll and just loads of just stuff, basically. Tried to make it look and feel really messy. But then on the other side of the counter, complete different scenario, complete different situation, because I imagine that teenager is very organised, everything's got its place, everything is very well like neatly placed, and it's just, the bathrooms in this house were so fun, and I'm actually really excited about the bathrooms, which is quite a rare occurrence for me. But anyway, moving on from that and actually getting back and talking about the build and what I'm doing right now. I can't believe I just spent the past like 2 minutes talking about bathrooms, but I'm quite excited. Also, by the way, it goes without saying, there is another 2 bathrooms as well. I decorated them to be quite generic family bathrooms, but there is 2 bathrooms in this house that have quite a lot of personality, and I just wanted to mention it because I'm really proud of them. But anyway, as you can see, I'm just currently going around, and I've just started off by doing the back garden space. As I was just talking about the bathrooms, you would have seen that I just did the front portion of the build, so kind of like the front garden landscaping, the driveway area. In the front garden itself, there ends up being a little driveway, and it's got kind of like a family wagon. I don't know what, you know, like them really big like 6 or 8 seater cars that can fit every single member of your family. I wanted to place one of them down, but unfortunately we don't really have anything like that in the game, and so the closest thing that I could put down was a little red car. It is from the Get Together Live edit menu. Place it down onto the drive, and then in front of the actual car itself, I placed down a garage mural, which your Sims can spray graffiti on, and then there's also a little basketball hoop, kind of like above it. Now, when it came around to playtesting this house, because as always, like always, I have playtested this build, and it all works absolutely fine. I literally playtested every single seat, every single area of the sofa that your Sims can sit on, both sides of the bed, you know, the full shebang. I playtested the whole entire thing, and I only ran into one problem when it came around to playtesting, and it was with the basketball hoop, unfortunately. Now, when you automatically place down the basketball hoop, the one that kind of like attaches to a wall, it will automatically go to a certain height, because where the animations have like your Sims like dribbling the basketball and they try and throw it, there has to be like a certain height that it goes to. But where I wanted to place it in front of like the front of the house on top of the garage, when I was doing that, it was kind of like clipping into the garage mirror itself. And so what I decided to do was just move up a few different bumps just so it wasn't clipping in. But when it came around to playtesting, I realised because it's kind of like moved up the object, my Sims couldn't like dream big, which is like an animation that they can do with it. So my Sims can't pretend that they're NFL players or anything. Your Sims can dribble, so they can use the basketball hoop, stand in front of like the actual hoop itself and just like dribble with the basketball. But because it's been moved up, they can't like actively get the ball and put it through the hoop, which I don't think is a major problem. I more so placed down the basketball hoop for kind of like a decorational purpose, but if it does bother you, then definitely just like remove it and then replace it. It will clip into the garage, and that's the reason why I moved it up in the first place. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. But apart from that, everything else in this house works absolutely fine. So if you do want to download it, you shouldn't run into any problems. But currently I'm just going around and just doing the back garden space. So in the back garden, there ends up being a little swing set, a barbecue area, a ton of different planters, also placed down the telescope. Now, recently, I've really been trying to make a conscious effort to remind myself to put this telescope into back garden spaces, because for some reason, when they were doing all the different categories for all the different objects in the game, we recently got this telescope. When they were doing that category business, they didn't decide to put it in the outdoor category. And so, you know, where you've got like the barbecues, you've got planters, you've got flower arranging tables, all the outside stuff basically, a telescope should be in that category. For some reason, they didn't add it into that category, and you've got to go into the hobbies menu, which it makes no sense because the telescope object itself, unfortunately, you can only use it outside. Like, you can't place it down into a bedroom and try and angle it out the window. Like, it's not going to work. I really wish that was a thing, but yeah, for some reason your Sims can only use it outside, but they didn't place it down into the outside like garden category. And so recently I've been really trying to make a conscious effort to remind myself to put it into a back garden space. And so it just gives your Sims like an extra thing to do, doesn't it? Like, it's just an extra activity for your Sims to do in the back garden. And so I placed that down into the garden. There is also a flower arranging table, which I'm not sure if I mentioned or not, but there's basically just loads of different bits and bobs for your Sims to do in the back garden. They can do some gardening, they can do some activities in the do some activities. They can play on the swing set, they can make a barbecue, you know, maybe cook some like franks and beans and stuff. There is a good amount of things for your Sims to do in the garden, basically. But now I've moved over back to the front porch, and I'm just going around and just trying to clutter it up, make it feel like a front porch into the front of the house. Something that I did, which I did have to skip through because it took me so long. You see that little black square, and it's kind of got like a light switch coming out of it. Alright, it might not look the best, but my idea was I wanted to try and make a doorbell, because now we've got light switches in the game. We've had them for quite a few years, but we've also got plug sockets on the back of a wall light. Why don't we have a doorbell yet? And so in this house, you'll see it as I go throughout and I furnish all the rooms, there ends up being plug sockets and light switches all over the place. But then I knew that I was going to do that anyway coming into the build, but then I was like, okay, well, why don't I try and make a doorbell at the front of the house? And so that little black square that you would have seen outside the front door, that was my attempt at trying to make a doorbell. Look, I know it might not look the best, but it's more so I tried my best, and it was more so the thought that counts, isn't it? Sometimes it's just purely the thought that counts. But yeah, that was my little custom made doorbell piece. What I basically did is I got this little hook, which is from the Spa Day game pack. It's just like a plain square. It comes in loads of different like plain swatches. I popped that onto the wall, and then I got one of the new light switches from the bathroom Clutter Kit, and basically using the tool mod, and it took me absolutely forever. I had to skip through it, but basically I tried to gravity pull it so it was just coming out of that little like square hook, so then it kind of looked like there was something that your Sims would be able to press on, and then it kind of looks like a doorbell. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really, but maybe it's like the newest Ring doorbell or something, and it looks a little bit different from previous ones, but it was a thought that counts. But yeah, I placed that onto the front porch area, also like a little seating area. Honestly, when it comes around to doing like front porches, I really don't ever know what to do, because what realistically, I feel like unless you've got an absolutely massive front porch to your house, what realistically do you have outside? Like outside my front door, I've literally just got wellies, which I will dare to put my feet in, because they stay outside all year round. I don't even want to think about the amount of spiders that have gone into them. So when it comes around to actually doing front porches, we haven't got any wellies in the game. We've got shoes, and you can place down like a coat rack and stuff, but in terms of actually furnishing them and making them feel realistic, I don't really know how to, because I've literally just got wellies and that's literally it. But anyway, besides the point, as you can see, I've now moved on into the inside of the house. Like always, I started off by doing like the little front entrance hallway area. So the hallway area itself is quite simply decorated. We have like a little side table, we have like an armchair, a plant, a few plug sockets merged into the walls here and there. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on into the kitchen. Quickly though, I do want to talk about the plug socket situation. Now, I have been doing this in my last 2 builds. This will be my 3rd build doing it. Pretty much ever since we got the bathroom Clutter Kit, I have been placing down plug sockets and light switches into all of my builds, just because I love the small little realistic details. Like the amount of joy that this one light switch has given me is actually a bit of a joke. But basically, I'm not going to go too in depth about it, just because I've already done another 2 videos where I go quite in depth about the whole light plug socket situation. But basically, we have this wall light, which is from the Parenthood game pack, and for some reason, don't know why, but for some reason, if you rotate it 180 degrees, so it like kind of flips it, there's a plug socket on the back of it. Not a clue why it's there. Love the fact that it's there, but no clue why they've actually placed it there, because unless you actually rotate the wall light, you won't see it. So it's kind of like a little secret gem, if you want to put it that way. Now, I've known about this plug socket, or like the wall light with the plug socket, pretty much ever since the Parenthood game pack came out, and I'm really sorry, I can't remember who it was in particular, but I remember I saw it on Twitter because someone tweeted about it, and ever since then, it's always been in the back of my head, like, there is plug sockets in the back of this wall light, but then on the front of my head, I'm like, well, why would I place down plug sockets into a build if we haven't got a light switch? Do you know what I mean? So I haven't been using it. And then recently, where we've now got the introduction of light switches in the game, it's now kind of like refreshed the fact that there is actually a little secret socket. That's hard to say. There's actually a little secret plug socket on the back of this wall light, we've now got light switches, go to town basically. And so in all of my builds recently, and probably in all of my future builds, I'm going to be adding in these little plug sockets and light switches because it's just a small realistic details that honestly do it for me. Like, I just absolutely love it. But basically the way that you do it is this wall light from Parenthood. It is one of the night lights that you're meant to put in like a toddler's room or like a kid's room. Basically you place it down onto a wall, and then using the tool mod you can rotate it 180 degrees, and then once it's been rotated you use the gravity pull feature and it pulls it out of the wall, and then just a little plug socket will show, and then the rest of the wall light will just kind of like disappear. I personally like to size mine up a little bit, so I size mine up by 1.1 or 1.2 depending on what I fancy on the day, and then yeah, you're done. You've got a little plug socket. Now where I've been doing this in my previous few builds, I have got a few common questions asked about these plug sockets, so hopefully this is going to answer all your questions. One of the questions that I keep on getting is the wall light going to glow? Like, will the plug socket glow? It doesn't. Like, there is no glow, there is no light that is attached to the plug socket. The actual plug socket itself seems to be a bit of a separate decoration to the actual wall light. So when you rotate it 180 degrees and the actual light portion of the wall light goes into the kind of like the wall of the build, the wall won't glow. Like, you won't even be able to tell that there's like a little secret wall light just hidden in there. There won't be like it won't look like there's a candle basically sticking out your wall. So that is one question I keep on getting asked, which yeah, the answer is no. It's not going to glow. It's not going to act like a light source. It is just something that's merged into the wall, and where it's now merged into the wall, it's not a source of light. And then the second question I keep on getting asked is, in gameplay, do they stick out? Like, when you go into half wall up, half wall down mode, is it going to be sticking out and is it going to annoy you? And pretty much the short answer is no, thankfully, because otherwise that'd be really annoying, wouldn't it? But basically the way that you do it is, you know, when you place down like a picture onto a wall, and then when you go into half wall up, half wall down mode, maybe a certain wall will disappear, like that certain area of the build will disappear for the angle that your camera's on. Basically, it acts exactly the same way, so don't worry. All of my builds where I use this, they're not going to be like floating because that would be so annoying. But yeah, they don't float, they just merge into the wall. I do place them down onto walls, which you probably won't see in gameplay unless you play with all the walls up. But I only really place them down onto them walls just for the fact of, if you are a screenshot player like myself, I like them small little details to be all dotted about, and then in your screenshots you've also got them small little realistic touches. I mean, it's not much, but it's just the fact that I know it's there. I just really like it. But yeah, that is pretty much the plug socket situation. I spoke about that for much longer than what I intended to, but yeah, I just wanted to explain it just in case you haven't seen my previous videos where I have been speaking about it. But anyway, moving on from plug sockets and light switches, which actually quickly, before I move on, I'm not going to show myself placing them down into every single room just because it is so time consuming. I mean, once you get the hang of it, you can do it quite quickly, but to do it in every single room, and I place down multiple plug sockets wherever there's kind of like a computer, or if there's like a table lamp, or if there's a standing lamp, whenever there is something that feels like it needs a plug socket in real life, I will basically place down the socket next to it. But with doing that, it becomes very time consuming, and so when I was actually filming, I only do it in a few rooms, but then at the end of the build I actually came in and I added it into the other rooms that I didn't place it down into originally. But when you see the screenshots, you'll notice that they're basically dotted around everywhere. But anyway, moving on from that and actually finally getting back and talking about the build and what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I've already done the kitchen, I've already done the dining room, and now I'm already moving on into the lounge space. So for this room, originally when I was doing the floor plan, I thought I could make this into a bit of a sitting room. I was originally thinking, okay, well maybe this can just be like a sitting room, maybe both of the parents, maybe one watches some sort of program and the other one doesn't like it, so maybe they have like two separate telly rooms. Maybe that's a scenario that goes on in this household. And so originally I was thinking I'll make this into a smaller sitting room, and then I'll make the other room, which ends up being the activity room, into like the main lounge space. But when I came in and I started decorating, it just kind of panned out to be the main lounge space in the house. But I'm really happy I did this because, like I said at the start of the video, the way that the floor plan is planned out, I feel like it's so easy for gameplay, and I feel like to manage a bigger household in this house, it would be quite easy because you've got all like the basic stuff. So you've got your kitchen and your dining room really close together, and then just off the dining room is this little lounge space. And so I feel like for gameplay, it's probably better that I put the lounge room here, or like the main sitting room over in this corner. But in this room I decided to use these base game sofas, and then I did kind of like a little built-in TV unit. Now originally I did place down a fireplace into this room, but then one of the issues that I was thinking of when I was building this is, okay, well I want this house to be as realistic as I can possible. On the outside there is no chimney, which I forgot to mention. On the exterior I do end up adding a chimney, but I add it after I finish filming, and so you won't see that, but you'll see that in the screenshots. There is a chimney, but the dining room, it's got the fireplace, the chimney is basically directly below that on the upstairs in the roof, so it looks symmetrical basically is what I'm trying to say. So I was going to add a fireplace into the lounge room, but then there would be no exterior chimney, and even though I don't mind doing that here and there, I feel like it looked too similar to previous lounge rooms that I've decorated, so I thought, you know what, let's do kind of like a little TV unit situation. So the way that I did it is I got the same counters and cabinets that I use in the kitchen. I use the tall cabinets and then kind of like them half-size cabinets on like the wall clippings, and then I got the same counter pieces in the kitchen, but instead of just placing down the counters like normal, I basically rotated them 180 degrees. Now, one reason why I did this is the first thought that popped into my head was, okay, well, if I place down these counters, is my sim gonna go and try and make their dinner in the TV unit situation? Because we all play The Sims, I'm assuming anyway. We all know how the game works. At the minute, the sinks in the game are so broken, so whenever it comes down to playtesting, you'll get your sim to go to the loo, and then there'll be a sink literally directly next to him, and your Sims will be like, nah, actually I fancy using the downstairs bathroom sink that's all the way across the other side of the house. And so when it comes around to counters and things like that, I do get a little bit worried, and so I thought, well, if I place them down and I rotate them, your Sims can't actually get to them. And so that was one reason why I rotated them. And then secondly, I just didn't want them to look like the exact same counters that I use in the kitchen, but I wanted to keep the colour of the wood kind of symmetrical. And so yeah, I just rotated them 180 degrees, and once you rotate one, they'll kind of like clip together, so you don't have to like fiddle about to try and get them all like accurately lined up. But then I placed down the TV onto it, also placed down a little radio station. I kind of like twisted it around so that again was 180 degrees, so it doesn't look like a radio station, and instead it kind of looks like the TV box, or like the TV thing where all of the different, you know, when sometimes your box, like your TV isn't working, you have to like reset it at the box. Basically try to make it look like that. But then also in the lounge room I ended up placing down one of them really big coffee tables, the one that I used from Parenthood, and honestly I can probably count on one hand the amount of times that I've actually used that table. I never use the really big coffee tables in my builds. Now, don't get me wrong, I haven't got anything against them, but normally when it comes around to living rooms, I just use like a standard like 2-tile coffee table. Sometimes I might not even place down a coffee table, it's just whatever I fancy on the day. But yeah, I never seem to use the big ones, but I decided to use it in that room. Also placed down like a little Parenthood toy bin. The one that I placed down isn't something that like kids can actually pull toys out of, it's purely decorational, but I just thought it fit in with the rest of the room. But now, as you can see, I've quickly moved on. I've already done the garage space, I've already done the activity room, and now I'm moving on into the little home office. But quickly, in the garage space, you might have noticed, I end up adding another mural on the other side of the wall. So if your Sims are, you know, they're a bit of a Picasso, they have two different places that they, even though Picasso was not a graffiti artist, but your Sims have two different places where they can spray graffiti in this house. They can spray it on the outside and then also on the inside as well. And then there is also the washing machine and the tumble dryer in the garage. There is also the decorations box from Seasons, so you know when it's like a certain holiday your Sims can decorate. There is also a little game table as well in there, so your Sims can play cards or play Don't Wake the Llama or whatever. But then in the little activity room, I was so stuck. I'm not gonna lie, I was so stuck on what to place down into that room. Originally, like I said, I was planning for that to be like the main lounge room, so what ended up being the actual lounge room was just gonna be kind of like a little mini seating room, maybe have like a small little telly in the corner or something, and then the actual activity room was going to be the lounge room. But then obviously that didn't go to plan. I just got a little bit happy decorating and what ended up being the lounge room just was on the other side of the house. So then I was thinking, okay, it could be like a guest bedroom or a grandparent's bedroom, but for the Sims that I imagine to live in this house, which, by the way, I will actually talk about the Sims that are going to be living in this house in my save file when I move on and I decorate their bedrooms. I just kind of want to talk about what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But when I was like picturing all the different Sims that are living here, I really didn't see like grandparents staying here, and it was too much of a big space to make into like a guest bedroom, because it's actually quite a hefty room. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make it into an activity room. At least this way, the house is just filled with so many different skill building items and hobby related items. In the actual activity room itself, I ended up placing down a ton of different bookcases, a grand piano. There is also a chess table. You could probably add in some like other bits and pieces depending on what kind of Sims that you want to live in this house yourself. And so you could definitely alter that room. And like I said, if you wanted to, you could make that into an extra bedroom and then also make possibly the garage into another garage space, another bedroom space as well. But yeah, I did have a little bit of a hard time, not gonna lie, with that one. But then quickly you'll just see me do the home office. In the home office, I use the little, what's it called, you know, the cat stand scratching post thing where cats will go and like scratch at the bottom and then they can kind of go and like sit and lay down on the top of it. Never use that because that item is so difficult to place down into builds because it is just so big. And I just find it really difficult sometimes to place it down. Originally, I was going to place it down into the activity room, and then I found it and I thought, that would be great to put into the home office. And so, yeah, I placed that into that room. There is also a computer desk, another bookcase, a few filing cabinets. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on to the upstairs level, and I've started off by furnishing one of the bathrooms. So this is the bathroom that I was talking about, which I decorated to be for the 2 teenagers in this household. And hopefully you can already see it kind of coming together in a little bit of a 2 personalities basically share this bathroom. So you can see the way that I've did it. I placed down a Parenthood sink in the middle, and then each side I placed down a counter for each teenager. On the right hand side you can see it's a little bit more organised. That teenager's got an electric toothbrush, they've got little towels and like a little bar of soap stacked nice and neatly on their side of the bathroom. Other side, different story. So over here I placed down like loads of different combs and bottles and just like tubes of stuff that looks like they're empty. Also placed down like a ripped toilet roll. And then one thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to place down like a toothbrush and toothpaste holder, but I didn't want to use one of the ones that we have in the game because I had the idea of, well, I wanted to really show the personality of this teenager in this room. And I feel like this teenager is so unorganised, they're not going to go to the shop and buy a toothpaste holder or like a little jar to keep their toothbrush in. They're probably just going to use a coffee mug. And so you might have noticed I placed down a little coffee mug which we got from the Everyday Clutter Kit. I basically placed it down onto the counter, went into the debug menu, I found a debug toothbrush, and then basically using the tool mod I rotated it and then plopped it in so it looks like that is their toothbrush holder. And then their toothpaste, it's on the sink, it looks like it's been squeezed the absolute ends of time because it looks like there is absolutely nothing left in it. But I felt like that just showed the personality of a teenager. Well, hopefully it does anyway. And then, yeah, on the other side, completely opposite story. But also in that bathroom as well, one thing that kind of helped me get across the idea of 2 teenagers share this bathroom, one's messy and one's not. We got some like wall decoration towel hangings, again from the bathroom clutter kit. Basically there is like a nicely neatly placed version, and then there's also a version of this towel which basically look like someone's had a shower or they've had a bath and they've just chucked their towel. They haven't even bothered to try and lay it out to dry properly. So I basically placed down them into that bathroom as well. I was thinking obviously the more neatly placed ones are for the neater teenager, and then the more like messy ones are for like the bit of the naughty teenager basically. And then in that room as well I ended up placing down like a shower and bath combo and then a toilet. But now you can see that I'm just going around and actually just finishing up the second bathroom which I'm showing, which is the toddler's bathroom. Again in here, same kind of situation. I wanted to show real personality in this room, and so I decided to use a different shower and bath combo. The one that I use is from Parenthood, and I used it with the swatch with the little elephants on. Honestly, it's so adorable, that swatch. The thing is, I really love that shower curtain. Like, it is so adorable. It's so hard though to try and place down into a bathroom because I'm pretty sure the actual shower unit itself, so that the actual shower piece, not the curtain, is green. And so when I'm trying to do like quite neutral bathrooms, that can be quite tricky. But where I was trying to make that bathroom as playful as possible, I thought, you know what, I'm going to use it. I also placed down the little potty in there as well as like a toilet. The sink area is the same as the other bathroom in the sense of it's the same Parenthood sink and then it's the same counters either side. But in the toddler's bathroom, I tried to make it feel a little bit more playful, so I added in like rubber duckies and bath toys. Also placed down some diapers on the counter, so maybe after bath time, once the toddler is like fresh out the bath, there's a nappy there on the go, you know, ready for them. And then on the walls I placed down all these different wall decals, some with like whales on, some with like little fish and like coral, and it's just, I tried to make it feel really playful in there. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on and I started furnishing the first bedroom, which is the first teenager, who happens to be the teenager that's a little bit more on the neater side of things. So you might notice that this room is very white. Don't worry, I do tone it down a little bit when it comes around to decorating the room in terms of like wall decorations and other like furniture pieces. Currently, I've got the Parenthood, no it's not, the Paranormal Stuff wallpaper. It's because it begins with a P. I've got the Paranormal Stuff wallpaper, which is this really beautiful, almost like delicate little flowers, and I thought it would be absolutely perfect for this sim because this teenager I imagine to be really preppy, is probably on like the cheerleading squad or something, and so you can see in the corner of their room where the chest of drawers is, I placed down some little pom-poms onto the wall. I imagine them to be maybe like a class president of something. I imagine them to also be a sim that's probably in everyone's business, and it probably really annoys everyone, but I imagine them to be really organised, and then maybe they're like really good in school and they're consistently working to get good grades because maybe they want to go to the University of Rochester or something like that, whereas the other teenager I imagine would want to go to like the Foxbury Institute because I feel like they're two different kind of, do you know what I mean? Like one's a little bit more like traditional classic kind of university and the other one's like a little bit more modern. I feel like this sim is quite an old fashioned kind of, loves that kind of thing. And so their bedroom, I basically just tried to make as preppy as I could possible. I definitely do imagine when this sim grows up and they go away to university, they'll probably be a part of like a sorority house or something, or maybe they'll be like quite high up in their sorority, because I feel like where this sim is a bit of a busybody, like probably in a good way. Their mates probably love them, but they probably are in everyone's business. They're probably like, oh, what's her name? Gretchen Wiener. Is it Gretchen Wiener from Mean Girls? No, it's just like she knows everything about everyone, and that's why her hair is so big. I imagine this sim to be a little bit like that, but not like that in a sense of this sim's a little bit like organised, and she plans out her whole entire day. She probably like time blocks every single second of her day, and probably gets like the straight A's in school, and just that is pretty much the idea for the teenager, just a super preppy cheerleader basically. But now you can see I've now moved on into the next room, which is the next teenager's room. This is a complete different story and you'll see that. So in here, to start off, I decided to use quite a dark wallpaper on two of the walls. So the wallpaper that I've used on both the walls is the same wallpaper, but it just comes in different swatch, and it is from Eco Lifestyle. But you normally won't be able to find this in like the normal wallpaper menu, because weirdly enough, this wallpaper is under the miscellaneous category. So you know we've got like soil wallpaper in the game, or we've got a newspaper wallpaper. It literally looks like newspaper just all over the walls. I'm pretty sure this wallpaper from Eco Lifestyle is under the same category as that. It's just kind of like really well hidden into the game. I don't know why they put it there, because I easily forget about it, but when it came around to doing this room, I remembered it, and so I decided to place it down as this room and decided to use it. But in this room, I decided to use the bed, which is from the High School Years expansion pack, and then I also used a desk, which is from like Dream Home Decorator, the little chest of drawers area with kind of like the little boxes and books in it. That is from Parenthood, and then the little cubes are from Dream Home Decorator. I basically came into this room and I knew I knew that I was going to clutter this up, and so I thought, you know what, instead of me just putting all the clutter out onto the floor now, let's come in, let's put down like the main furniture pieces, like what would actually be in a bedroom, so you know, like the bed, the chest of drawers, the so on and so forth. And then once I've got like the main pieces out, I'll then go through the build and buy menu and just find everything and just put it out on the floor. And that is pretty much what I did. I spent so much time just scrolling through all the different debug menus for all the different packs, going through all the different build and buy for pretty much anything that I could think of that would fit into this room. So we end up placing down like cassette tapes, there's also like earphones, there's also like little tiny like figurines and like individual placed pens and cans and even pizza boxes. I just basically tried to pull out anything that I feel like a messy teenager could potentially have in their room and put it in this room somewhere. Now, in terms of this Sim's personality, I was really picturing this Sim being just a really naughty teenager. I imagine that if they ever do go to school, which I don't imagine is something that happens that often, I imagine they're always bunking off, they're always just, you know, they never go to class, they're like getting like F's and E's in school. They're probably even being threatened by the principal in the school to be kicked out because like they never attend. And so maybe if like boarding school was a thing, they'd be threatened to be sent to boarding school, which I haven't even spoken about. Do you know what? It's funny because I always leave my voiceovers to the day of I upload, because I upload mostly on a Friday. Sometimes it's a Saturday or maybe a Sunday, depending on when a pack release comes out. But normally I upload on a Friday, and I always save my voiceovers for the Friday just in case we've got any like Sims news, Sims updates or anything, so we can chit chat about it. We had a new expansion pack trailer released yesterday. I haven't even spoken about it because, first of all, I was so excited to just even talk about the bathrooms in this house. I completely skipped over the fact of we're basically getting The Sims 4 Generations. and I'm so excited, and it probably doesn't seem like I'm excited because I've only now mentioned it, but if you're not aware, The Sims 4 Growing Together expansion pack is coming out in March. I think it's March 16th, and yeah, it's pretty much like a Generations from what I've seen from the trailer. Honestly, I'm so excited. I must have watched the trailer about 20 times, and that is not an exaggeration, and I'm probably going to watch it another 50 times before the EP comes out. But yeah, we're getting pretty much Generations in the game, which I feel like I need to point out, by the way, we're not getting boarding schools. It was just my thought process was, if we was to ever get boarding schools, what kind of pack would they come with? Generations. Hang on, there was a Generations EP basically yesterday announced, and so that's where my brain went. We're not getting boarding schools with this new expansion pack, but what I've seen from this new trailer, I am so excited about. Honestly, I could burst with excitement. But you know what, I'm on a little bit of a tricky thing now, because I basically prepared my game, like my household that I play with off camera, I basically prepared them to be ready to have an infant, because I was expecting the infant update to be coming much sooner than, I think it's March. Is it March 14th that it's coming out? Because we're getting the infant update on the Tuesday, and then on the Thursday we're getting the new EP launch, which is kind of like a regular kind of like situation timetable for these kind of things anyway. But I was expecting the infant update to be coming a little bit sooner, and so I've been basically getting my household that I play with off camera ready to have a baby. But now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I want you to have a baby. Do you know what I'm actually going to do? Now I'm speaking about this in my Discord, actually. I'm going to send my current household to uni. They're in level 10 of their careers. They don't need to go to uni. They have excelled in their career. They can't go any higher. But I love them so much, and I want to continue playing with them until the EP comes out, so I can experience infants with them for the first time. And so I think I'm going to be sending them to uni, and then I think I'm actually going to get them to do like a Parenthood course. I think that is a thing, like, because you know when you get your Sims to go to university and they can do like extra courses or like extra classes on the side, and it can be with something completely unrelated. I might see if I can get my Sims to go to uni and maybe do a different degree. Maybe they just want to be really knowledgeable, and then maybe do like a class in parenting just to hold me out until this new EP comes out and this new infant update. Because honestly, I'm so excited. Like, I have watched this trailer, like I said, so many different times, frame by frame, and I could honestly burst with excitement. Just everything about it. Like, kids can ride bikes now. We're getting a tree house. It looks like we're getting like puzzles, and they're hinting towards horses. There is just so much. There is so much to unpack from that one single trailer, and it's so exciting. It feels so good, doesn't it? Like when you've got this really big EP that I feel like is so heavily wanted by so many different people. Then now the fact that we've actually got knowledge that it is coming to our game, I just could burst with excitement. But yeah, we're not getting boarding schools in this EP, but it was just kind of like where my brain went when I said about that naughty teenager. But anyway, besides the point, as you can see, moving on, I'm actually now just going around and finishing up furnishing the toddler's room. So in this room, where I was so heavily inspired by the personalities and kind of had a theme going into the other two teenagers' rooms, I wanted to kind of bring over another theme into the toddler's room. Now, for the toddler's room, I tried to do a safari theme. I really hope I managed to pull it off. To be honest, there's not that many like safari-themed items in the game, but basically I was inspired by, you know, the giraffe that's from base game. You can find it in like the children's decorations category. I was basically inspired by that, and I basically ran with that idea, and so I placed that down in the corner. I placed down different wall decorations that had like other giraffes on, or maybe it had like bears on, or I basically tried to place down anything that had an animal into that room. And then I finished it off with placing down 3 different rugs, one which is from Seasons and it's kind of got like an animal print on it, one which is from High School Years and it's kind of like a little tiny rug and it's got some tassels, and then another one which is kind of like a brownie beige rug, and I think that one, off memory, is from Parenthood, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But I feel like the rugs really kind of like tied in the safari theme with the animal print rug from Seasons. But yeah, I tried to make it into like a little safari themed room. But now, as you can see, I'm just going around and actually just finishing off the parents' room. So in here, it was quite a big space. So it ends up having a big double bed, a little dressing table, makeup vanity, a chest of drawers, and a wardrobe. And that is pretty much it. So anyway, guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. As always, you can download this build via the gallery. My gallery ID is JessicapieYT, or just search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.